have you join me, Tracy Uziwe. And the program is The Living Earth. It's a program that we get to discuss what happens day in, day out on our environment. Whatever we are doing on this one support system, we have to do it from a very sustainable and productive standpoint, knowing that you need to hand over a livable environment to your next generation. You need to check your daily footprints on your environment. And if you've been following us on this conversation for all these years, I'm sure you've done something. And like I said the other time, plant a tree or do something more productive. In this edition, I have this very big honor to have the Honorable Minister for State Environment in Nigeria, in Nigeria right here with us live. So it's a very, very big one. Let's talk about plastic broadly. We know that plastic is what have really evolved to become what we are all used to. You can count how many plastic related things that you've used today, probably starting from when you brush, then get to probably when you have to take your bath, like most of us use this scrub. Do you know that there are microplastics in most of those scrubs? That is second thing that you've done with plastic today. When you get to eat and then you dress up, one troubling thing about plastic is that it doesn't get to degrade easily. Plastic gets to stay in the environment for close to 500 years before it starts showing any little sign of degradation. So you can imagine something that stays that long with you. And it's been postulated that it can be even more than the fishes in the ocean. It's a huge thing. And the Minister of Environment, as the umpire ministry that makes sure that we have a livable and sustainable environment to live in, they've taken strong steps, especially to look at the issues that have to do with the single-use plastic, like plastic that cannot easily be recycled and all that. But then we do a whole lot with them day in, day out, and they just get to be thrown away. So we have the Honorable Minister here to talk to us about that. Thank you so much for giving us your time today.
Thank you very much, Tracy.
Yes.
It's my pleasure to feature on this your lovely station.
As a ministry, what are we looking at in terms of handling the challenging issues around plastic?
You have laid a very, very good background. Plastic is in our lives, everything we do, from our homes, our vehicles, our dresses. But because of the single factor that plastics are not biodegradable, that means they cannot be removed from the environment through the natural process that normally remove wastes from the environment. So they stay in the environment for a very, very, very long time. And when they stay in the environment, they cause a lot of environmental hazards. Apart from the aesthetics, that when you find plastic littering our environment, it is not looking nice. They can also block our drains, cause flooding and erosion issues. When they degrade into microplastics, they can enter into our oceans and then adversely affect marine lives. When they are incinerated, produce fumes that are toxic to human health and animal health. So you find out that generally, as useful as plastic is, if you're not managing it well, it can also become a problem to us as human beings and other living creatures on planet Earth. So something we need to take very seriously if we want to have a planet, like you said, to live in and to hand over to the coming generations.
So as a ministry, we've taken the bold step to do regulations and all that to propose the ban of single-use plastic, especially within the government establishment. How are we going on that? And then at the long run, how sustainable can it be?
What we first did is that we test-run the banning of single-use plastic within the Federal Ministries of Environment, our departments, our agencies, our projects, and our programs, including our public functions. When we test-run that for about 6 months, we were able to learn some lessons. We saw the way it ran, and we now decided to scale up to involve all ministry departments and agencies of the federal government. We presented a memo at the Federal Executive Council and it was so approved. The implementation of that should start very soon. The process of implementation takes some time, trying to prepare the ministries and trying to get the alternative that they use to drink water and all that. It's ongoing. So we hope that very soon we're going to start that implementation. The whole essence of that is first to show leadership. If government employees who belongs to the elite group in the society have adopted these measures, who believe strongly that they can also influence a lot of people to follow suit. If you add the population of public civil servants in the federal sector together, it cannot be less than 15,000. We hope that eventually we can also scale up to involve civil servants at the state and local government level. So you will now have created a a nucleus of ambassadors who are going to be out there propagating sustainable and responsible use of plastics. So that is the whole essence of that. So that process is going on, and we believe that learning from our experience, what we have achieved at the Federal Ministry of Environment, we strongly believe there is something that we can also do at the statewide level, federal government and state and local government as well. So we were very, very, very convinced that it will add some values to the way we manage plastic.
Some persons listening will now want to know, during the period that little test run was done, and I'm sure an alternative was provided within that little, what was it and how effective was that? Looking at when it will be like replicated on a wider scale.
If you look around within the Ministry of Environment now, you see that in most offices they now have water dispensers, and you also see that most staff also have their water bottles so that they can fetch water from the water dispensers to drink. That eliminates the use of water bottles and what you commonly call pure water, sachet water. Of course, we also look at the areas of shopping bags. They are reusable shopping bags that you can use on and on and on. Some of them made from clothes, some though made from plastic, but they are made in such a way that you can use them many times. So for shopping bags, that is also something that we are proposing. Of course, plastic spoons, plastic plates, styrofoam. You see that even when you come to our events outside the ministry, what we do is that to procure mug, as apart from putting water dispensers there, we also have mugs that we put on tables with glass cups so that people can drink from those mugs and the glass cups. So these are measures that we have taken within the Ministry of Environment to ensure that we are able to implement this. And these are the best practices that we're going to be selling to other sister ministries and agencies of government.
And still looking at the sustainability aspect of this, because the ministry is doing a lot to push this, but if at the end of the day we don't have a proper structure where it can stand on, when people with these ideas and this strong passion to drive this move on to another level of operation, people coming in may not want to adopt to that. So what are the probably structures that are going to be put in place so that after this huge effort, it doesn't just get worked out?
And you must realize that this particular policy has been approved by the Federal Executive Council of Nigeria. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation is mandated to issue a circular in that respect, which should be a service-wide circular disseminated to all departments, all ministries, all agencies of government. We have also put together an implementation structure. We have a document that is going to guide every agency of government in the implementation. That was advised them how to ensure that they set up committees in-house and within ministries and within departments. And from our own end here, we have also put together a coordinating committee that is able to do visitation to ministries and also able to take feedbacks from ministries. So we hope that when we implement this for some time, we can also approach the Office of the Head of Service, and this kind of environmental responsible award can also be incorporated into the Head of Service. Once it becomes a policy of government, by the time we implement it, and people also see the benefits, not only to the environment but also to their pockets, you expect that there will be voluntary compliance.
Exactly, because that's the only thing that seems to be sustainable with human beings. For any behavioral change to really stick, there must be some level of benefit. Looking at this, at the other side of it, when we stop using the nylon bag that is cotton free, probably if it translates to the paper bags, for instance, people will now be charged for it. Do you think it's something that they can easily want to part, especially when the economy doesn't seem to be very...
Well, I don't know what you mean by nylon bags are given free.
In the shopping malls, when they go to buy, they just add them.
I can assure you that those nano bags are charged to the cost of the goods that you are buying.
Probably maybe for
They may not say it's costing
the
one
open
naira.
market, like where you go to normal local market, they will just put those things for they don't charge extra.
Yeah, you may think so, but the what I'm telling you is that if I want to sell this biro to you, and I know that the packing of this biro will cost me X amount, don't you think I will have put it into the cost of my selling?
How do we extract so that the public can be aware?
The strategy is first, when you use, for example, clothes bags or bags that are made with more robust nylon and you can use over and over again. Eventually, it also saves some costs. What it means is that yes, it will take a while for that culture to sink properly, and that is why we are starting a stepwise approach. By the time we get to a situation where when you go to the supermarket, you are charged for bags. But if you bring the bags back, you don't have to pay. You see a lot of people, what do? They will keep their bags, and when they are going to the market the next time, they put it inside their bags or somewhere and present it at the supermarket so that they don't have to pay for it. Once it's implemented in a national scale like that and it's a uniform implementation, then people will have no choice than to abide by it.
I remember back then when they were doing the COVID thing, remember the face mask thing that people were using then. I know face mask was something that people can just give you for a smile. But once there was that policy stuff about you must use face mask now became like one hot cake. People now started exploiting each other. So that is like a very thin area we need to
once you create an opportunity for business, people would necessarily take advantage of it. For example, the use of face mask. If you recall, when it first started, it was very expensive. But gradually, you could find face mask anywhere.
You can even make it for yourself.
You can also make it for yourself. So people were selling it everywhere. First, it generated a lot of employment for some sort of people who are making their daily living from selling of the face mask, and the costs also started going down because there is competition in the market. So if you first start, yes, there may be some limited exploitation as you have put it, but I believe that strongly with time, once you create an open market and there's competition, there is healthy competition, eventually the market will stabilize and you get the best cost for some of these items.
I'm happy you're doing these little phases so that Nigerians don't get exposed to that high level of exploitation as well. But what are we doing from the angle of the companies, especially for those single-use plastics? Because we know that most of them is just for the fancy of those products so that it can whet appetites more. Because if they are all still there for people to go eat, what are we doing from that end to curtail excessive production of such?
At the moment, the government has not taken a decision to ban nationwide the use of single-use plastics. There's a lot of engagement going on with manufacturers, PET bottles manufacturers, nylon bag manufacturers, and other single-use products that are made of plastics. There are many channels that we can adopt. First, we can increase the grammage of plastics. When you increase their grammage, it also helps for it to be recyclable, because those nylon that are very thin are very difficult to recycle because they just plug the machine. So first, that option is there, so that once you increase the grammage, we can also adopt the route of recycling. Then you can also provide substitute alternatives. We mentioned paper bags, we mentioned cloth bags. We're exploring the possibility of what we can do with bamboo. Some of those spoons, some of those forks that you're using can actually be made with bamboo. We're also exploring the option of biodegradable plastics that are made from things like sugarcane. These are all options that we're taking on board. The lesson we're trying to push out basically is that as a country, we must be ready to change the way we currently use and manage plastics. That's the lesson we're trying to push out. So it's an awareness, it's a sensitization thing, so that people gradually become prepared. As government is preparing itself, businesses are also preparing itself, individuals are also preparing itself, and gradually we can be on board. We must also know that there's already a global movement around the regulation of plastic, and Nigeria cannot be an island. We must also key into that global movement to be sure that we're not left behind.
My name is Dr. Mohammed Mahmoud Abubakar.
Ibrahim Musa Goni is my name.
My name is Dr. Isiaq Adekunle Salako,
Honorable Minister of Environment,
Conservation National Park Service of Nigeria.
Minister of State for Environment, Federal Republic of Nigeria. I would like to invite you Nigerians and everybody worldwide to
keep
watching and
listening
listening
to the
Living Earth.
Living Earth.
Living Earth.
Thank you.
I'm sure you listening or watching from anywhere, because why this interview becomes very necessary, because there seems to be this panic within the public space that government is trying to come in a way that it will make things difficult. It's not about making things difficult. It's actually about making things easier and having us to have a more healthy environment. You can see from what the Honorable Minister of State is saying that it's being done in little ways so that the challenges and the issues are weighed and taken care of. It's not going to be lumped on you like, okay, government have banned plastic now. And it's not all plastics, like, so that you don't start saying, oh, so are we now going to start using bottles that are more expensive? No, they are being very, very responsive. We are all in the same environment, go to the same market and everything. So it's being done responsively. This last aspect you mentioned, sir, about the global treaty. A lot of Africans and especially Nigerians are a little bit wary about this global treaty because most of them seems to be one-sided, that seems to favor the big, stronger or more industrialized nations. Some persons have argued strongly that they are the ones polluting, why are we the ones suffering? And then the monies that they are meant to bring to cushion those effects are not forthcoming the way they should, that most times the things that they clog around it make it almost impossible to even assess them. So how are we going in with this adoption so that we are more concerned about how is our own peculiar situation beyond just the global thing, because some persons have seen a lot of things that look like the more you look, the less you see those global treaties. So
I agree absolutely with those who argue in that respect. But the fact of the matter is that the environment knows no boundary. As we are suffering flooding here today as a result of climate change, it is not possible for us to identify that this flooding we are suffering is as a result of another country's activity, and therefore those flooding should not come here. They should stay
in those
countries. So we cannot demarcate the effect of climate change within boundaries. You cannot border it. The same air, which means that however little it may be, we must play our parts as a responsible member of the Community of Nations. Yes, life is a competition, it's a struggle. We will continue to speak at developing countries with one voice. We will continue to ensure that our voices are heard, our peculiar situations are accommodated, our interests are put as a priority. We will continue, but they will also continue. So it is that discussion that creates a balance. Have our share, that's what life is. So we must continue that way. There's no other way.
To just calm the fears of those that think the ban, like, oh, everything plastic has been stopped and all that, and then we have to, so that they get the picture correctly in rounding up.
The picture is clear. Number of plastics that are recyclable and they can be reused and reused multiple times. Those ones are not even bad within government cycles.
They are still there.
They are still there. So you even see that some of the water bottles that people use are made of plastic. They are not banned. What we have banned within government cycle are plastic that we often use and throw away.
That is within government cycle.
On the go plastic, single-use plastic.
Like the straw you use,
Yeah,
you know,
straw,
those kind of,
like
you don't go to recycle them. The plastic spoons, those tiny ones that can't fit into recycling machines, those are the ones they are talking about. And it's within government organizations for now, so that you don't mix this.
That is the first thing. So we hope that with the implementation of such a policy within government cycle, we can then learn lessons. We can see
what works,
what
doesn't,
and what doesn't. And we can see how to scale up if need be. You understand? So that is the whole essence. So for now, our people are still free to use their PET bottles, but we urge them, anytime you use plastic products, dispose it responsibly. Make sure you just don't throw it anyhow on the ground. Dispose it into a dustbin and ensure that that dustbin is collected and disposed into a proper disposal channel. So that will be my closing remarks.
Okay, people, so that's where we are cutting it off for today. Whatever relates to plastic and us in the country, they are being very responsive, putting everybody in consideration in whatever policy framework is coming out on it. And it's not on all, like he said already. Thank you so much.